Just want to remind you guys, you can sign up for listener support for this podcast. Just go to the link in the bio. Every little bit helps. We're trying to upgrade the studio, upgrade the cameras, upgrade the guests, upgrade the whole experience. So even $1 donation goes a long way here. If you don't want to do listener support, you can also go to billypodcast.com and pick up some merch. We got some hoodies right now, and you can find those at billypodcast.com. Thanks, guys.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. I'm Billy, the host. Welcome back to the show. 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 I'm Billy, the host.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Billy, the host. We're joined today by comedian and producer Trent Ludzak.
Hi.
We're in Trent's unnamed studio in beautiful Marietta, Georgia. And our special guest today is a comedian. He's worked in theme parks and hospitality. Very interesting guy. Please put your hands together for Kenny Murray. What up, Kenny Murray?
Billy Willie. I pronounced your last name right?
Yeah.
Okay, Billy Willie. What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's William Willig. So
William Willie.
Billy is my nickname, pretty much.
Okay. Your parents were huge Dr. Seuss fans, I assume.
I guess so. It's
Yeah,
a
I bet
family
they did.
name. My uncle was William. My grandfather was William. But I don't know. It's weird, like, because I feel like if I sit there and I write William Willig on the list, then people are going to call me William.
So my slave name is Kendall. I go by Kenny. But I don't know if this is like this with you, but did you change it to Billy because you felt that William had too high of in expectations for like names?
No, I've just always been Billy.
Okay.
That was kind of the that's the nickname. I mean, it makes sense with my name, William Willig. It just ends up as Billy. My uncle is Bill. So, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not really a Bill. I'm a Billy, right?
I feel that way. That's how I feel about me being Kenny instead of Ken. But the main reason I end up doing Kenny, because my mom hates it. She can't fucking stand Kenny. She thinks it's trashy, but that's the reason why I chose it, because my mom's a pharmacist, so I thought with Kendall, everyone would think I'll become a pharmacist or a doctor or a lawyer or someone who's like really contributing to high society. That's a lot of pressure. And then I'm like, if I do Kenny, barely anybody will expect shit from me. So any minor thing that I do that's like decent towards the world, I'm looked at like a black Einstein or whatever. And it's worked out pretty well. And I'll say that's the one thing that I enjoyed. I worked for a theme park in Florida. I got no cheddar out of it. That should give you a clue what it was. But I was like the only young black dude in the whole department. And I will say it was the best and worst moment of my career. The best in the sense that everyone had such low expectations for me. All I had to do was come in 2 hours after my call time or whatever, and I'd be considered a genius.
Nice.
And just stay out of jail, and they practically worship
Well,
me.
hey, man, just showing up for work is one of the best traits in hospitality. Because I know you still
It's a
work in
rarity most
hospitality
days. I
now at a kind of a tourist spot.
Unfortunately, I keep getting lucky with the shit in the sense that I'm gonna regret saying this, but I always get stuck at the international locations as far as hospitality. And it's great because people love the brand so much, but it also sucks because you're always playing like lost in translation games and shit like that.
Right.
Which I get as far as like you not understanding the word, but if I'm pointing to the fucking price tag and you're still acting like you have no idea what I'm saying, you're just
pretending at that point.
You're literally just verbally trying to what's it called, peg me at that point. I feel like.
Do people try to haggle with you at your job?
They do, especially at the theme park and shit like that, because you would give universal instructions and they sort of take you to mime school the first 2 or 3 days as far as like doing universal signals so people from all over the world can understand what you're saying. I didn't have to go through this, thank God, but when you work in like the rides and attractions and stuff, you have to tug on the yellow strap just to make sure you're buckled in safely, like so they don't get sued.
I feel like as a comic, like doing the like tour guide job would be a good practice gig because you just work that muscle all day.
It's funny. So I ended up, the spot I worked was based off of a popular children's movie. It was like a sing-along. So literally I started developing my greeting into like a sketch comedy character. So how can I say this without getting sued? Frost. Okay, cool. Hi, kids. Hi, families. Welcome to the Frost Along Sing Along with all your magical friends in the wonderful world of the North Pole. Sit back and relax as you sing along with all of your magical friends and a wonderful, safe, and titillating 30-minute showcase. Please keep all hands and feet right inside of your seats, directly away from any of those who are right next to you, and enjoy the magical show. We hope you have a wonderful day here and have a magical day.
That was pretty good.
Thank you. It's embedded in my head. It's PTSD. Yeah.
But I could definitely see you hitting that.
I was nervous to say that. Frost Along isn't a real name. I was nervous to say a real name because people would. Why I said have a magical day afterwards. So I guess I already gave it away.
Well,
I guess I already gave it away.
Luckily, only like 10 people listen to this podcast.
Yo, don't do that to yourself. Don't do it. I was sweating out my fucking ass watching all your old episodes preparing for this.
No.
I am a fucking fan. But no, I mean, I guess I could say it. It was maybe I should, because that mouse will come for all the cheddar I have, or lack thereof. I work for a nonprofit now, so I have a big heart, but very little in my wallet. I think that makes me a good person, I hope.
Yeah. You see a lot of adults at these theme parks nowadays.
Oh my God. And that's the crazy thing too. So did you know that they're like Disney? I'm fuck it. I don't care anymore.
You're not going to get in trouble.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. The curse is free. The indentured servitude has been lifted for 2 years now. No, but they're like weird Disney influencers. I don't know if you guys know about this community. So it's like they're treated like the fucking Beatles in the like Orlando area and shit like that. Like they get in all the VIP spots and everything. They have hoes and shit, which is crazy because they hoes actually bad, and they hoes are like a weird middle ground.
This to people. I used to play Orlando a lot. Yeah. And it's like if you're one of the higher ups in that specific theme park, then you do get bitches from it. Like that's
it's
what they
crazy
care about.
But it's the type of bitches who are strictly in the Orlando area. Like they're the type of bitches, like if a woman from Lenox Mall or Buckhead went through there and them boys tried to spit game out like, hey there, hi there, ho there, some type of whatever the fuck they say. I tried to rebuke them in the name of Jesus. They were too annoying for me. I have a time limit on nerdy ass. I can't even say nerdy ass white dudes. That's racist because they were black motherfuckers, Hispanic. It was like a rainbow coalition of debauchery.
It takes a certain personality. Some people really enjoy it though. Some people really find their place.
And I pray that those people who enjoy it are able to afford the therapy that Disney does not grant with their paychecks.
You ever see the people who like they really want to work at Disney but they're not good enough or pretty enough or something, and then they end up having to work at Universal?
It's funny. Disney, a lot of people think that Disney has such high quality expectations and shit. I'm gonna be so real with you, they really don't. As long as you're as long as you're able to recite your name and address, but I don't even think now with their pay cut they require that anymore.
Disney's kind of gone downhill. They used to have much higher standards.
It's crazy because working there, it's like the ones that you see who are at the top of the game are the ones who they put in front of like the tourist and everything like that. So I feel like it's always sort of been like that. I just didn't really recognize it until I started working there. But the workers who are like more so just there because they're submissive and shit, which I know brings a whole they're like BDSM in a castle, do tell. But the ones who are more submissive and will just go for anything, because there are people there who have wanted to work there their whole lives, and great for them, but at the same time they're sort of immune to the business aspect, so they don't really know how to advocate for themselves. They accept low pay. They don't really demand the amount of respect I feel anybody else who's going into it knowing that it's a business setup would demand. You know what I mean? So they're basically just there because they're yes men, and with them they're not really given a lot to do as far as like high responsibilities, but they're definitely in the background. I hate to say it, but if you just walk out a ride, you see someone waving goodbye, 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 those are like the bottom bitches of the castle. You know what I mean? You have to place them in a spot where yes, they're noticeable, but at the same time they can accidentally cause a grandmother to slip off of like It's a Small World and shit like that because they don't know how to manufacture the boat.
Right.
And even then, you're stuck in like a weird. It's creepy as hell too. You're stuck in sort of like a glass box situation where you just have like 25 surveillance cameras. You're just watching everybody. You're watching everybody as they look at the mechanical figures sing back to them.
Yeah, one time me and my friend took acid and then decided to go to Six Flags.
That's a beautiful thing.
And
I feel more people. If people at Disney work there, maybe they would have to break through realizing that they're way too good. Well, I take that back. Some of them aren't too good.
What
for
I
Disney,
noticed
but
about Six Flags was most of the people who work there are in high school or just recently graduated high school, and I was like, oh, this was a mistake. I should not be tripping in front of high school.
High school, it just feels wrong. I feel like It's a Small World would be the best place to trip at Disney, but then again,
it was a good experience. Like if they had a day where I think like the Halloween stuff, they're open a little later and there's less kids around.
Yeah.
You should not be
You want
tripping.
to trip during Halloween,
Halloween
when they have
Horror
monsters
Nights.
literally running around the
Have-
park to scare you.
I can handle my ass.
I feel like that would be a perfect. So, have you done Halloween Horror Nights when you were in Orlando?
No. I've only been to Disney once. I want to go
Okay.
again because my wife's never been,
Yeah.
and I have a daughter, so I want to wait
Yeah.
till she's old enough. And
I
then
love
go.
you said that because you have so many people who bring their kid when they're like 8 months,
Yeah.
and then they pay for like hundreds of dollars worth of photos
Yeah,
and
it's
all
crazy.
the VIP. It's like this motherfucker ain't gonna remember this shit.
You just spent $5,000 and they're not gonna remember.
It's
it
crazy.
at
And
all.
then they start bitching out at you getting mad if you ask them to wait in line or do the most basic shit.
I
It's
guess
like,
if you have disposable income, then you
Right.
can go again later. But for me, I'm like, we
Fuck
got to
no.
make this count.
and a lot of them, sadly, not trying to talk shit, but they can't afford to go afterwards. So it's
Right.
like they get mad because they throw all this money into this experience their kid can't remember. And then when you give them basic instructions, do you know how much we spent? Do you know how? Yeah, you and
Yeah.
everybody else in the park.
Yeah, you and everyone here spent $5,000.
Nobody asked you. Nobody forced you into this poor decision making. That was just, I guess you can blame it on the Disney influencers. They make everything look way better than it actually is.
Yeah, the first time I went to Disney,
They're to blame for all the
we
chaos.
got lucky, man, because my parents are very like frugal.
Yeah.
They're the middle class, hardworking Americans, and they don't like to spend money frivolously.
Yeah.
We went to Disney World. We flew to Orlando, September 18th, 2001. One week after 9/11, we flew there. There was no one on the plane
They know how to get the good deals.
and no one in the park
Yo,
because people were just scared of terrorist attacks.
they know how to ball on a budget, goddamn.
Dude, we rode everything. There was no
Kobe that
lines. We saved money. My uncle used to live in Orlando, so
Yeah.
we stayed at his house. He had like a extra bedrooms and stuff. And so yeah, dude, we did the whole thing. We did Universal
That's
and
crazy.
Disney that week.
That's great. That was smart as hell. So I ended up working. I worked there twice on intern. They call it internships, but really it's just indentured servitude. You work. No, really, because they make it seem like it's this high acclaimed honor, but really
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just working
That's how they get you.
the same. Just like the preset to the Ultra Boy, goddamn it. It can be a little hard sometimes in that bitch because it is a lot of fun. You get to go on the rides for free, but it's also a lot of hard work, and you're getting paid like $2 less than everybody else. You're in the same attractions. Some are placed in hotels and shit like that. You're not doing anything extraordinary, but just to be able to say that you have Disney on your resume gets a lot of people in. And then the fact that a lot of people like jack off, I kid you not, the posters of Cinderella's castle on their wall. They would work in sand, and I'm pretty sure some of the people they got there literally are working in sand for sand. But I was there for 6 weeks in 2020 before COVID hit, and I actually got COVID
Damn.
at CC's and I went to CC's Pizza.
Nice.
And all this
I heard
other
they were
crazy shit
closing
with COVID.
CC's Pizza, but I think they're still around.
Orlando, bro. So that's the main thing I loved about Orlando. No shit outside of the parks and rides or whatever. They have a CC's Pizza every 3 blocks, and it's typically like combined with this $10 25 course mini golf putt shit or whatever.
Nice.
So in Orlando, they
They
probably
have a CC's in the park.
No, like outside in between
Oh.
Disney and Universal, like just
Oh,
off of
okay.
the strip
Yeah,
where the
I see.
hotels are.
Yeah.
So the main deals that they have, they'll have like this insane decorate like mini putt course, and then they'll throw in like, let's say if you do 2 hours on the putt, you'll get like half off CC's Pizza.
They got a Ripley's, believe it or not.
Or
museum
not
down
and
there.
shit. Ripley's, believe it or not, they got Dixie.
I
I'm
know
going
exactly what I
This ain't
can
going-
picture this strip.
hell yeah,
right
and
now.
they got I don't know if this is the most PC, but they had Dixie Stampede. They changed the Stampede after 2020, but it was like the Confederacy versus the Union, filled with like food and fun. I did it in Pigeon Forge in 2007.
Yeah.
I was actually
Dude,
on the
I was just gonna
Confederate.
bring up Pigeon Forge because they got the same setup there. It's
I was
like-
on the Confederate side, and I was mad that we lost. That's the same. But I'm the same nigga. I grew up in Stone Mountain, and I had no idea of the history of it until much later, like maybe middle school.
Yeah.
But in
That's
pre-K,
what, man. I don't.
yeah,
You don't even realize as a kid that the Stone Mountain is a giant Confederate
I
monument.
used to wave to those
Because-
motherfuckers when I was coming
Yeah,
home
exactly.
from pre-K every
'Cause
day.
you would go to the
Those are
light
my
show.
niggas.
You would go to like
Yeah.
the 4th of July there, and you would see everybody: black
see
people,
everything.
Mexicans, Chinese.
Yo, and that's the weird thing because you have all these like weird white liberals and shit like that.
That was a callback to another episode.
Yeah, really. Yo, they are so, and I love like. Okay, I have nothing against people with liberal politics at all, but at the same time, I think some of them are way too self-righteous for their own good because they'll start getting to a trauma with
Well-
me. You're from Stone Mountain. You have to look at the hideous thing. How do you like? I'm like, I don't look at myself as a slave. I don't look up at a bitch and think, oh, how awful life is for me. I'm so oppressed. And black people in America, we are oppressed in many ways, systematic oppression and other things that are still going on, unfortunately. But they always, I don't know, they always think it's weird when I say that I never saw it as a symbol of trauma, more so a symbol of inspiration.
I never saw it either as a kid, to a detriment.
Yeah.
It just wasn't something I experienced.
I mean, you're young though, so you weren't really
Yeah.
be as
I grew up
coked
in
into that,
Marietta,
you know what I mean?
and there's all kinds of people in Marietta. I went to Sprayberry High School. There's all kinds of people at Sprayberry, all
Yeah.
different backgrounds. So
And-
it was like, it wasn't something I experienced. Then I got older, and
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, there's racism in the world." I'm like, "Huh?"
It's crazy, man. And with me, I see it as a point of inspiration because, thank God, Stone Mountain. By the time I came in, we moved in 2001. I was like 2 years old. It was an all black city. We have a black mayor, black chief of police. All of the teachers in my school, 97% at least, were black. All the students were black. So I never grew up thinking that I was less than because of my skin color. You know what I mean? White people were like invisible to me. It's funny. A lot of black people who grew up in all white neighborhoods say like they were excited to see black people on screen because it was the first chance they had to get representation. I had representation 24. So I was like, I'm sick of y'all motherfuckers. Sack and Cody, Hannah Montana, that was my fucking shit.
All right, so you
Take
were
my
a Disney
ass to
fan before you worked there.
PCA. And we used to go to Disney every year too.
So
Every year,
did you? Were you a big fan of Disney? Like,
I was actually, but it's weird. Like even now, like I have my limits. Like I'm going to the parks for 5 days in October. By the 5th day, I'm gonna be ready to get the fuck out of there. The first day, I'm always like hyped up. I want to try and like, I guess magic. I say
There's not too much
pixie
PTSD
dust.
there.
Yeah, so we used to have a joke where pixie dust is like what's it called? Like an insulation for nutting or whatever. So
yeah,
it's like my first time ready to pixie dust it all out. So it's like build up and shit like that for 5 months. You're waiting to go back. You're watching the ride
about to
POVs and
hit
shit.
the Ripley's, believe it or not. Try to get
Hell
my pixie
yeah,
dust
bro.
on.
Hell yeah, bro. But then by the 5th day, you're like, I'm sick of this shit. Get me the fuck out. Excuse me. You know what's crazy too? I didn't realize how fucked up living in the city is until I got to Orlando because there were no crackheads. Everything's extremely clean. It's like, where's the fun in this? Where's the not saying that, you know, seeing homeless people
Hell no! I
is a
hate
good
how
thing.
dirty the
You know what I
city.
mean?
I hate how dirty Atlanta is.
Yeah.
There's potholes and chicken bones everywhere.
But it keeps you based in reality though. And that's why I want to clarify, like there's nothing great about homelessness or poverty or seeing littering. It's sad. The older I get, littering becomes my number one pet peeve.
Yeah.
I might as well be a white liberal. I live in Midtown, so I feel like I might as well just be a white liberal that just got extremely sunburned.
Atlanta's not as bad as other cities, but there are areas where it's like,
Yeah.
come on, y'all. Like
No,
little 5 points. It's
seriously.
like I don't need to wade through trash to get to Star Bar.
No, exactly. And those motherfuckers piss me off because they try so hard to be oppressed, man. They purposely fuck up their neighborhoods. They purposely spend $300 on clothes that look like it just got ran through in an orgy outside of Value Village or whatever, you know. But I don't know, man. It keeps you real. You know what I mean? Like, even one of the main reasons why I'm so grateful I went to Georgia State is because, yes, there is crime and there are homeless people and there are a lot of unpleasant things going on. But at the same time, you see that as inspiration as to how can I make things better? How can I make an impact? You know what I mean? And it really surprised me when I went to Disney how many people were blinded by some of the major issues going on in the world. And it's not their fault because a lot of them grow up in upper middle class communities. A lot of them grow up sort of away from that. But I didn't realize just how much of a privilege it was to be in areas in the city where you are able to see firsthand what's going on. Because even with like our current political landscape, social landscape, a lot of people, the reason why there's so much difficulty having conversations, I feel, is because they're not in the forefront really experiencing shit. And it's like when you are in the forefront, even if you don't agree, it's still easier to be like, okay, I do know where you're coming from. I understand to an extent why you feel this way or why you think this way.
Yeah, a
you
lot
know?
of people get mad just because they haven't even experienced that stuff. They're just getting mad on behalf of somebody else.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like, I'll say for myself, even with feminism, I'm a huge supporter of human rights. I'm a huge supporter of women being paid equally, women being treated with respect, like just like human beings. Do you know what I mean? Very anti-rape culture and all this other crazy shit that society tries so hard to normalize. But women are first and foremost in the feminist movement, the equal rights movement, because it's not my story to tell. I'm going to be a supporter. I'm going to be an ally, but I'm not going to try and hijack something that doesn't belong to me. Do you know what I mean? And I feel the main reason why I joke on white liberals, I feel like, and with black issues, black rights, you know what I mean? They fucking deserve it. They fucking deserve it. And a lot of them are so fucking self-righteous, it makes me sick.
It's a lot of virtue signaling.
Yeah, and with conservatives, even though I may not agree, I told myself I wasn't going to get political, but even with conservatives, regardless of how I feel about their beliefs, I commend them for at least being honest about how they feel and saying it with their chest.
My opinion
You know
is
what I mean?
like you need a healthy balance of both
You
the
do.
right and the left
Because-
because the
yeah.
left has a lot of good ideas and they also have
Yeah.
some crazy ones, and then the right has a few good ideas and then
Hell
a lot
yeah.
of crazy ones, a lot of problems. at
And
least.
I feel like that's the main issue that we have. We don't want to listen to each other anymore, and we
Yeah.
don't want to. Excuse me. Everybody looks at an issue or looks at someone who doesn't agree with them as like being black or white, and people don't realize that there's so many different layers as to why we believe what we do, our experiences, our upbringing, where we grew up, where we went to school, what we're exposed to on social media, what we're exposed to in television and film. There's so many layers that make up how we feel and why we choose to support who we do politically, why we choose to fight for certain initiatives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think once we understand that, it'll be easier to relate to each other and have a conversation with one another. But a lot of times, I mean, people will go out of their way to try and prove just like how good of a person they are without realizing just how ignorant they truly are. You know what I mean?
The example I always use is like for the right and the left is like you need capitalism because that's how people can build a life for themselves and have nice things and have luxuries in this world. And then you also need unions because you can't have unfettered capitalism. You can't have capitalism without a little bit of regulation, because that's how you end up with office buildings that are 10 stories high and have no windows.
Everything needs balance and shit, and it really scares when people are like,
which has actually happened. There was some building in New York where it was like a whole like factory building with no windows, and then a fire broke out and just everybody died because there's no no fire escape, no windows.
I would tell you right quick the importance of television and media, man. So one of my favorite shows is a drama called Homefront. Barely anybody knows about it. It was on for 2 seasons in the 90s.
Yeah, I
and the
haven't seen
second
it.
season, it was up against Cheers and Seinfeld. So you already know the fate of it after that
that's why
second
I don't
season.
know about it.
Unfortunately. Yeah, man. But it was a period drama that took place right after World War II. An incredible ensemble drama. It's on YouTube. I highly suggest you guys watch. Cal Chandler from Friday Night Lights, John Slater from Mad Men, their first like major roles. But anyway, they did a season-long arc on labor unions and just the importance of it, and they did a really great job. Of course, they were more sympathetic to workers' rights and showing the workers as the good guys, of course.
Yeah.
But they also did a great job portraying the side of the factory owners and why they were against unions, what they feared was going to occur if unions came in, and that was my first time really seeing how television could have that impact. I think that's why my primary goal in the upcoming years is to go into television and hopefully get staffed on the show run my own show. That was a pivotal point for me.
Well,
I
I think they're shutting down the CNN building in Atlanta.
They already
so,
did.
Yeah.
They already
So that's
did.
not good.
I envy the fact that I never got my Cartoon Network shirt. I used to go in there like,
I was on Cartoon Network a few
you
times.
serious?
Yeah, they used to hire kids as extras for this.
Fried Dynamite.
It was when I was a kid, so probably late 90s, maybe early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was called Cartoon Fridays.
I loved Cartoon Fridays.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I was on that show.
Cartoon Fridays. Cartoon.
Some
What
of-
the fuck? How
some
did
of
you
my
not tell me
friends
this?
got speaking roles, but I never
Bro.
got a speaking role.
So did they film? They filmed at Turner Studios.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I live like 3 blocks away from
Yeah,
it. That's
yeah.
crazy. And I actually saw Biden's motorcade coming in from my window. We all know what an incredible comedic special that turned out to be. Goddamn. But that's crazy. So I have to interview you now right quick. What was that experience like? Because I'm a diehard, especially old school Count Chicken, Dexter's Lab. Like,
It was cool. They came
Yeah.
to my school and recruited, which was kind of weird.
that's
But,
great.
but yeah, my mom
Oh my
used
God.
to take me down there, and we would meet in the green room, and then there'd be
Yeah.
a big sound stage. Tommy and Zynga were the hosts.
I know exactly what you're. What the fuck?
I got a picture at home.
What the
it's like
fuck?
me with Tommy and Zynga.
So that's so I did some shit, and I have a funny story about them recruiting you that I'll share in a moment. But I actually used to be on a cable access show for 3 years. It's not as cool as being on Cartoon Fridays, but that's one of the main reasons that I feel with stand up I was able to be comfortable in front of an audience. So it was like a variety show. We filmed, I want to say, 6-hour-long episodes over the course of 2 days. So we would have 12 episodes a season. We would film Columbus Day weekend in October, and then like Valentine's Day weekend in February. And we did sketch comedy, we did interviews, we did
Nice,
presenting. It was a great sort of boot camp preparing me as far as like being on set, how to act as a professional,
Yeah.
how to be able to hit your mark. The only downside is we did multicam, which is barely done nowadays,
Yeah.
though. So a lot of my training as far as camera blocking goes, playing to the
It just
camera.
doesn't play anymore. For some
Yeah,
reason. A lot of people have
unfortunately.
tried it, and maybe it's the writing,
Yeah.
or I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work as well.
I
As it
feel
used to.
like with cinematography is much better on single cam shows, of course, because you have more time. But I feel as far as just the writing and then the performances, I mean, I'm a huge fan of like All in the Family, Maude, Good Times, The Norman Lear Machine. Even like with Cheers, man, and Frasier, you look at those shows and they're hilariously funny, but at the same time, there's so many different layers to
Have
the
you ever
characters.
seen the YouTube video that's like Cheers is the greatest pilot of all time?
Yes,
It's like a writing.
and I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way that they introduce the characters, you still get a day in the life. You're able to create the concept for the show so naturally, while at the same time not making it so obvious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could watch the pilot and understand what's going on
Yeah,
without
yeah.
sort of fully realizing that it's the pilot. You know. And Ted Danson and Shelley Long, I mean, fucking magic, man. Fucking
Did
magic.
you do a lot of acting as a kid?
No, I always wanted to though. So I actually sort of fell in love with performing in 2nd grade, and I hated this fucking teacher. If you are listening, Miss Johnson, you can still suck my fully grown 6.5-inch cock. Yeah, that's a shout out for the ladies in case you're listening.
6.5 is
But-
pretty good.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I take pride. I have very few things that I can take pride in. Sadly, I feel like my penis is the only thing that, as a black man in America, I have my reparations in.
Okay.
I feel bad for all the small dick black dudes who
That must be a tough life,
Like, what
right?
do you have-
Because
I know, man.
it's kind of expected of you.
agony and shit like that. That was the thing too that I was thinking about. It's like, damn, if a white woman wants to take you home just because she assumes you have a big black cock,
Sometimes
and then
I-
you go in there's not, like, that must be the biggest roller coaster ride you could ever expect. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I feel bad for white dudes with big dicks.
I feel because it's like
I
they
think-
have it, but no one expects them to, so they're automatically they
Right.
get no love. But you know what
But
I
then
will
the
say?
women are probably looking for a more like
Yeah.
average kind of thing, and then they find out, oh, this guy's got a monster cock, and now I don't
Yeah.
even want. That's not what
They
even
get
what I want.
demonized and shit. But I feel like how they make up for it, and maybe y'all can answer me this: why is it that white guys love showing their feet so much? Because I live in Midtown, and it's like, no matter what month, no matter what climate, you always see dudes with like the khakis, the polo shirts, and flip flops.
Those are weirdos.
Okay,
Most of the white people that live within the boundaries of Atlanta are weird.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with them.
they have a disorder, they have an illness.
Yeah.
That explains why we have so many of them in comedy. I
I'm
guess,
wearing
huh?
Crocs with socks right now.
There we go, man.
You know, I'm ashamed of my body, like I should be.
Why, man?
No,
You were my motherfucker who used to deadlift 405 pounds, guys.
Go to PowerPC in Marietta, Georgia for all your home, student, and small business computer needs. They got everything from refurbished laptops, refurbished desktops, gaming PCs, and even podcast production PCs like the one we're using here in Trent's unnamed studio. So if you need a new PC or a repair on your laptop or desktop, go to PowerPC in Marietta, Georgia. That's PowerPCGA.com.
God damn it. Fuck you, pretty boy light skins. You already took the motherfucking rap scene. You gotta take our women too.
I would wear smaller shirts when I worked out a lot sometimes.
too.
But then I got
Still do.
into kind of the hiding it and
Yeah.
when that rare opportunity comes, people are like, "Whoa."
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But even now, like, I was on swim team, and of course we're just in speedos. Yeah, as I told you, I doubt I can have any kids. So another reason, ladies, if you're
Who's the
listening,
pedophile that came up with that uniform, you know?
I don't know.
How many seconds are you shaving off by
That's what
wearing
I'm
a
saying,
Speedo?
right? And then they would be looking real hard too and everything in the name of science. I
And the
guess.
girls' uniforms are even worse
Yeah.
too. They're always like rising
like
up their hips, like
exactly,
high waisted.
man. It was, I know, sponsored. What was P Diddy's clothing line and shit?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I
know
think
what
we
you're talking about.
finally found the manufacturer of that shit.
Yeah.
Goddamn. But it's crazy because of course you're wearing speedos. But I was never self conscious about doing that just because, I mean, secondhand.
'Cause it's a sport. And
Yeah,
there's a reason for
You
it.
get used to it, but I mean, like, even now, like, I'll be going to the gym or I'll be out and about and there'll be a dude jogging shirtless. I'll just like be like, he has so much bravery.
Yeah.
Why can't I be like that and shit like that?
But I hate seeing the
know?
guy around Atlanta running shirtless because he's always checking to see if anybody's looking at him.
Right. So
You're
fucking
weird,
self-conscious.
man.
So this is funny. I actually posed for news after COVID. So I guess I'm the last one to talk shit.
Did you get paid?
I didn't. I actually paid. So I did 3 times.
All right. He just wanted
In a basement.
He just wanted those pictures. You
In
know
a
that,
basement.
Right?
Hopefully someone's making good money off it on like an OnlyFans site.
Someone's beating their meat.
Like
to
the
it right
SAG
now.
after. I feel like that's low key a compliment. That's the reason I don't start OnlyFans now, because I feel like if no one paid for me, I would be even more depressed about my body than I already am. But it's really weird though, because it's like, okay, so there was a light skinned nigga, of course, at my school who also had my name. So during COVID, the photographer, and shout out to him, really talented dude. He was doing sessions and everything like that. He was like a physique photographer. So the other kitty who I went to school with, he's like, you know, ripped, done football and everything. So I was like, you know what, I've been working out over COVID. I've always been tired of always like downing myself, because I was always that dude in college who was like, no woman would ever be interested in me because I'm too short. I'm not fit enough. I don't have a car. I don't have this. I don't have that. So I was like, why not thirst trap it up? Why not be the Nile River to their Sahara? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in a way, I described that analogy. I guess it's no secret why I'm single now. And I'll take that back. She's right here, and she's not going.
It's
anywhere.
all about confidence, though.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter.
And
Like,
too stupid, and just being too stupid. Not to overthink anything that you say,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
it honestly
you know?
doesn't matter. Like physical attractiveness, especially as a man. I think as
Yeah.
a woman, it matters more. than
Definitely.
Physical attractiveness, which it kind of sucks. I mean, the really hot ones have life on easy mode, but if you're not
Most
that hot as a
definitely.
woman,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
even then, the ones that aren't that hot, they still have dudes thirsting.
oh
after them
no,
all the
they'll
time.
like
You're
I've
somebody's type.
No, most definitely. I mean, you have a vagina. If they're desperate enough, you're anybody.
But I feel like dudes,
They're
it's
anybody's
100% about confidence and
Yeah.
swagger and believing in yourself.
Hell yeah. I apologize, y'all. Y'all mind if I pass right quick?
Oh yeah,
I'm
don't
so sorry.
apologize.
This is so unprofessional.
No,
I'll be right back.
not at all.
But
All right, we're going.
the body wants what the body wants, I guess. But no,
It's that Coors.
yeah, man.
Coors Light.
Curd light, buddy.
Coors Light.
I used to tell him they used to call me Midnight Cowboy because I used to smoke Marlboros.
I used to drink
shame in my game.
Sweetwater 420 and
I've never had Sweetwater.
Budweiser Heavy. Sweetwater would be like my hopsy beer, and then Bud would be my like get drunk beer,
I feel you.
or PBR.
It's good to have that
'Cause I was
diversity
kind of
in
a
alcohol
hipster.
and shit.
Yeah. Well, I haven't drank in almost 7 years.
I feel like I'm an inadvertent hipster. Midtown. When you live in Midtown, you don't have a choice.
What kind of music do you like?
You know, it's funny. I love more so like 60s to 80s, like within 60s to 90s. So that 30-year span. Like I'm huge on Motown.
Okay.
Typically, I'll wake up and I'll start my day with that. Like I'm a huge fan of the Miracles, the Temptations, the Supremes, and even 90s music. Anything ranging from like MC Lyte to Tupac to Another Bad Creation. I have all that to thank for it because they had a lot of like rap contemporary musical guests. I used to watch reruns. All that was one of the main shows that. It's weird. All That, which had more of a like street feel, and Mama's Family. Those are the two comedy shows
All
that
That?
got me hooked up.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah, but they used to do like the Brat TLC, Usher when he was first on. I was a musical guest and everything. Ran into Usher, Ludacris, Monica, Nelly, and Ashanti in the strip club on Valentine's Day, by the way. So shout out to them.
Did you ever listen to any like rock music, punk?
Yeah,
metal?
yeah. And SNL, Saturday Night Live got me
Yeah.
introduced to that. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll look at. I still feel like 1986 to 1993, 94 was the best period of Saturday Night Live personally.
All right.
But they will have a lot of great musical guests: Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Aerosmith.
okay.
So yeah,
I noticed a lot of comedians
Yeah.
don't know that much about rock music. When the Laughing Skull has those like karaoke parties, I'll do
Yeah.
like Pearl Jam or
Yeah.
like something like that, like
Yeah.
Soundgarden or something. And it's
Yeah.
supposed to be funny, like it's
Right.
supposed to make you laugh, but
give it
they-
away, give it away, give it away now.
Yeah, they just don't
Yeah.
get it. My dad used to play that record like every day.
And the
Red
music
Hot Chili
videos are
Peppers.
so, and the music videos are so much fun too,
I got
man.
so sick of Red Hot Chili.
Oh yeah, but I don't know. I feel like music as well as television and film, it definitely.
Is it racist for me to say this? I feel like
Yeah.
black people like Creed more than white people do.
I feel that's fairly accurate, actually. No, I feel that's fairly accurate. It's all about because they have that swagger and shit like that.
Creed
or
is
that's
almost a
just for the
joke to
culture,
us,
yeah.
but I've been driving Uber a lot, and
Yeah.
like a lot of black
rock
girls are
out.
like, "I'm about to go home and listen to Creed right now,"
I
and I'm
feel-
like, "All right."
I can't say Creed and Nickelback. I feel are really for the culture.
I'm 6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking, oh.
Yeah, no, because they're 60 from the air, and black dudes, we start off 6 feet with our cocks and shit like that. So it all makes sense. 6 inches, same measurement tools. But no, I feel like music is definitely. I feel like we always say nutrition wise, you are what you eat. I feel like it's the same with like music.
Do you
and
know?
television and
Do you know
film.
Pierre Escargot?
Escargot,
Yeah.
of course.
He's always posting Instagram stories,
I
listening
love
to
it.
like Nickelback or something
Yeah.
like that. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Cause I mean, it's something to put you in a good mood, and it's something that really people don't realize. Even if you listen to like, there's like ratchet rap, ratchet rock, ratchetness in all genres and shit. But if you absorb that too much, it really does have an effect on your well-being and your mental and emotional health. Whether you understand it or see it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like people listen to so much music where there's like drugs and cheating and violence and sex and all this other shit, and then they'll sort of end up desensitized from it,
Yeah.
or they'll end up sort of coming in their moods and shit like that. It's like you listen to this shit all day every day, and then you wonder why you're so depressed or you're so angry or you have such a pessimistic view of the world, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I for a long time in the alternative scene, like Nickelback and Creed were kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Like people would make fun of you for listening to that.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like that is more of, even though some of the songs are sad or like angry a little bit, there's so much more sadder and angrier music out there that like,
And it's one thing too, if it's to be sad, if it's sad and angry, just be sad and angry or shock. And another thing, if it's actually telling a story.
Yeah.
Like one of the television dramas that I'm really into now is called China Beach. It aired in the late 80s, but it's a period piece set during Vietnam that actually highlights the women of Vietnam, the military nurses, women soldiers who barely really got their due. And I mean, it can be very depressing. There's a lot of death, a lot of PTSD, alcoholism, list goes on, but
The military stuff.
yeah.
exact the military shit.
I was very sad and angry for
but
a
it
long
tells
time.
a real story though.
So I love like sad music. I love angry music. I love sad movies and angry music. Full Metal Jacket is
And
one
it's-
of my favorite movies.
So China Beach, the main reason why it was greenlit was because of Full Metal Jacket in that era where they were starting to
Yeah.
showcase Vietnam veterans and what they really went
How
through,
fucked
because
up
they were very mistreated during the actual war. And unfortunately, a lot of people.
Well, you talk about the homeless problem a lot. Most of those people are veterans.
Oh yeah, no. So my dad's a former chaplain, so yeah, firsthand, I strongly believe that our military veterans are barely given the respect they deserve, as well as the resources that they deserve. Because
And it's truly not that these people are lazy or they don't want to work or they they are. A lot of them are on drugs, but a lot of times they're on drugs because they're so fucked up. Yeah.
No, but
Trent is a perfect example.
Trent.
Well, you made it out okay.
Exhibit
You found your way to Marietta, Georgia. That's what's important.
got a nice, good life.
Beautiful
here.
Marietta, Georgia.
The ice cream parlor in the square and shit. No, and thank you for saying that, man, because a lot of people don't realize a lot of the homeless that you see, it's not drugs or alcohol. It can literally be just a 2-income family becoming a 1-income family. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, you have homeless who partake in drugs and alcohol, but it's like if you were in a situation where you were abused all throughout childhood, you were molested, you were physically abused, emotionally abused, you're leaving a abusive relationship, you have so much trauma going on in your life and so little resources to where you can't afford counseling, you feel that there's no one in your life who understands you, alcohol and drugs are going to be the main source for healing for you, even though it's really just self-medication. It's the closest thing you have towards being able to try and make yourself whole. I think a lot of people don't realize that, and unfortunately too, it's like the loudest minority becomes the majority. So the people who you see on the streets strung out on drugs, who are like trying to physically assault people or cursing people out or just getting into some really exactly.
Those guys are my favorite. The ones who get a
Yo.
little rowdy.
I mean, in fairness, Atlanta is a battlefield, so it's like they gotta stay prepared. But those are the ones who maybe make up like 5% of the homeless population. But because people see them more so, they assume that's all homeless people. And unfortunately, a lot of the homeless people that are around the city you would never expect. There are a lot of people who have full-time jobs who are living in their cars. I was
driving down to the city, I think to go to a Dynamic El Dorado.
Yeah.
I was passing the exit, I think, like, one of those like Freedom Parkway exits.
Yeah.
And I saw a graffiti on the underpass that just said, "Don't get killed." And I was like, okay. That's good advice, I guess.
It's crazy, man.
But
and it's like, I love the city, of course, because of that sense of rawness. And it's crazy, but I would much rather have that than in Orlando, where a lot of people, whenever something gets rough, they just go whenever there's world issues, they just go on a roller coaster, they go inside the parks and they try to make it seem like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That's far worse.
That's what I felt about Orlando, was very superficial.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, beautiful women, but
Very much.
very superficial.
But and that's the weird thing about going back to the Disney influencers, some of the Disney thoughts. Like, they're very beautiful, but they want it both ways. They want to act like a child as far as like the baby voice and like running through like the roller coaster, everything. But at the same time, they want to be seen as sexy. Like, make up your fucking mind.
Yeah, either be a kid or be sexy.
Yeah, you
Choose
can't have
one.
your titties out with some motherfucking kindergarten first day pigtails and shit like
that's
that.
Weird.
It is stranger than fiction, just like the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. I'm sorry, I had to plug in my favorite ride there. But no, it was very superficial. And like I said,
The Tower of Terror is your favorite?
oh, fuck yeah. I remember when I worked, I actually got to ride it 6 times in a row.
Nice.
It's corny, but that was like, out of the 7 months I worked for that esteemed company, that was my major highlight. It was a lot of fun.
You ever been to the one in California?
Yeah, so actually that was, I kid you not, man, that was probably one of the happiest days of my life. So I went with one of my boys from Georgia State. Shout out to Ethan. Oh, God, I've been talking about so much crazy shit. I doubt Ethan even wants his name a part of this. But I did anyway, my brother. Shout out to you. So my boy Ethan from Georgia State lives on Cali. So that was my first time seeing him, I want to say, in like 2 years.
As an employee, did you get to get into that park
Oh,
as
bro,
well?
so it was 20. I went earlier this year for my birthday, but my first time was last year, and I was 2 years out of the company.
Okay.
So I didn't get any discounts, unfortunately, but it was still a great experience. Disneyland was, I used to have a VHS tape, even though I look like a 14-year-old with Down syndrome. I'm dating myself to be much older. I used to have a VHS tape called Disneyland Fun. I used to watch on loop when I was like in elementary school. My one dream was going to Disneyland. So it was, and then too, because Disneyland, they have fewer things. Like, I kid you not, Disney World has like 30 hotels, 4 mini golf courses, 2 water parks, whatever. Disneyland just has like those 2 parks and like a shopping complex.
Yeah.
So it's like there's less to do.
They're trying to build a whole town in Orlando,
Hell
from what I
yeah.
heard, like where people live. And
They already did Celebration Florida in the 90s.
yeah.
And it was supposed to be like this Disney utopia.
Do they still do that though?
Went
or-
to shit. Knowing Disney, I wouldn't be surprised, because it's crazy. Even though they have all of this property, they still have a lot of shit that's undiscovered. Like, they have some areas where it's literally just forest that goes on for miles and miles. So
I don't know,
wouldn't be
because I think
surprised.
I think they converted a lot of that into like employee housing.
You do have employees who would definitely cut off their right nut to be there.
Yeah, there is
I
a lot
wouldn't
of
be
employee
surprised.
housing, which I think is kind of cool. You know,
Yeah.
you live on campus, you work there. That's where you
Yeah.
hang out. That's where your friends are and stuff.
And when
it does, like it hits my kind of like, I'm very interested in the Disney lifestyle.
And when I did my second internship, first internship before COVID, we were like 5-10 miles away from the park. We were by like Tanger outlets, I believe. So we had the shopping malls, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, all this shit. So we were close to the parks, but there was still that like feeling of separation.
Yeah.
The second one, they had a complex specifically for Disney employees. We were literally like walking distance away from one of the main gates.
Yeah.
So with that, it's like, it's fun. And then like the second one, you had like cartoon characters outside the complexes, like all over signs and shit. So it was nice for the time being, for it being temporary. You know what I mean? And then it was like, I was talking to one of my friends about this, like Saturday or Sunday. We had it great. Like, we paid maybe $700 a month in rent.
I just like that idea
It's
of
like swimming pool,
kinda
volleyball courts.
everything's taken care of for you.
Yeah, so I
Like
mean,
you were telling me, your current place is like fully furnished with
Yeah.
a TV. I like that concept.
That's a
because
blessing,
then I
yeah.
don't have to decorate the place.
right.
Because I don't know, I'm not that creative visually.
Yeah, and I
I'm
mean,
more
you
of
have
like
to
a-
save, and people, so it was, I'm moving to a new one soon. That'll be more money, but the one that I just got done with, at least, it was $1,300 a month, which was a lot. And then I had 3 roommates, but when you look at it, it's in a nice area. We had
You
a
had
swimming pool.
3 roommates and you were still paying $1,300, or
yeah, it was
yeah,
an
okay,
individual.
yeah.
It was an individual, so
okay,
everyone's
yeah.
paying. So it is overpriced, I'll admit. But you have
I lived in one of those when I was in college.
Yeah,
But the coolest thing about that spot was there were 4 rooms, and we had 3 of us in there, and then
Right.
we figured out how to pick the lock to the 4th room. So
Okay,
if we
okay.
had friends stay over or something, we could let them like have a
Smart.
guest bedroom or whatever.
that is fucking smart, man. Typically, we would just put our friends in the 4th room and just pray that they left out before the other dude woke up. If then you turn around, who the fuck is that, man? But Yeah, but I mean, we had a flat screen TV that came furnished, a sofa, a couple of chairs, desk, bed, washer, dryer, all that shit. And then we had a huge swimming pool, a hot tub that still fucking broken, so I'm calling you out on that shit. Then a mini arcade. We
Yeah,
had a
come on,
lounge.
fix the hot
Come
tub.
on, fix the shit.
If you're,
Right,
if you're
third
charging
world
people
problems, right?
$1,300 for a bedroom, at least fix
That's
the hot
what I'm
tub.
saying. So I feel like such a prick saying like the main issues in my life is a hot tub that's not working. I'm like, if I'm paying $1,300 for it, goddamn.
No, that's bullshit.
I want the bubbles. I want the breeze. I want the
You want the whole
motherfucking X and
experience.
XS model waiting for
You
me.
want the
Fuck
Mickey
yeah.
Mouse shaped hot tub to work.
Want Mia Lee right in there on the side and shit. I'm sorry, she's a really great, especially if you love massage porn. I just goddamn.
My friend used to live
One
in
chorus light is over with.
my
You
friend-
love massage porn. If you love massage porn, Mia Lee is your
You
girl.
can have
I'm
another
sorry.
Would
Would that be safe though?
Works at like luxury apartments. I don't
Yeah.
want to put him on blast because they're a big company, but like it is a nice experience living in a luxury community because you're paying for those amenities. Like,
Oh yeah, and then safety is. I mean, we do have the homeless, and you do have like crime here and there, but it's a very safe community. And that's my main issue, especially as I get older, just making sure that I'm safe.
it's a lot of
Because
young people. Like
Yeah.
I used to work at Exhale City.
Yeah,
Right across the street from this big apartment complex, and like people
was
would
it
go to
around
the
5
pool.
Points?
It was off Cheshire Bridge Road.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, right there. Where
I take the bus around there. Yeah,
Godfather's Pizza is.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, I used to work there, dude. The most interesting thing about Cheshire Bridge is literally when midnight hits, because I would work like mid to close, so like 5 to midnight I would
Right.
work, and as soon as midnight hits, the meth heads crawl out from under the bridge like Night of the Living Dead.
It's like that scene from Thriller, right?
Exactly like that, dude. It's like watching the turtles be born on the beach. Like they
It's
just come
crazy.
crawling out of their hole and they start fucking with you. And like, man,
It's
somebody stole
crazy.
my keys one time.
Yeah.
I don't know why he stole my keys. He tried to steal this lady's purse,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Do you know that guy?" She was like, "No." I was like, "Hey, man, don't steal her purse." And he put it
Yeah.
down. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to."
And it's crazy, like with me, I actually love the homeless in Atlanta. They're extremely fun. So it's not, I wish I had like that like carefree energy. But no, with me it's mainly just like altercations, because I feel like especially with younger dudes now, they have no sense of like emotional maturity.
Yeah.
So it's like a minor altercation. Someone steps on your shoes,
Yeah.
you're ready to like kill somebody. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it's crazy because a lot of them, I hate to say it, but they don't really have anything to lose. They don't even see a future for themselves. So
There was
them-
this one meth head that used
Yeah.
to come in, and he would sell meth too. He would always ask me if I wanted to buy some. I'd be like,
Yeah.
"No, dude, get the."
I'm
I
a
told you
heroin man
yesterday
first
I
and
don't-
foremost,
yeah,
and you
come
know
on, man.
that.
But then there was this one girl who was clearly like just hanging out with this guy to like
Yeah.
do drugs, and she had her car and she locked her keys in the car. It was like
Yeah.
a Jaguar.
Holy
so
shit.
I don't think she was homeless. I don't think she'd been on meth for long. I think
Yeah.
she was just like found herself with the wrong crew.
Okay.
And this guy was like trying to get her keys out of the car. He ended up destroying that car, dude.
Holy
And he came in, he was
shit,
like asking me
man.
to borrow shit. He's like, "Man, you got a screwdriver?" I was like, "No." He's like, "You got a pair of scissors?" I was like, "No, this is a freaking vape store, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
What the
Get out of here." And then, yeah, I would watch him in the parking lot just destroying this car, like scratching it up. I think he cut into the seats or something to get her
That is
keys out of there.
fucking crazy.
Craziness. You could have just called a locksmith to come pop your door open.
Yeah.
But I think they had drugs in the car, so they didn't
Okay.
want to call anybody. They got a tarp from under the bridge and put it over the car at one point. It was crazy.
I'm surprised they didn't recruit other meth heads to try and come together for a greater good.
I think there was a group of them out there at one point.
Oh.
But, they're so high on meth, they couldn't figure out
They
how
got-
to get in this car.
Oh, and I remember what I was gonna say when you mentioned you got recruited for Cartoon Network. So this shows you how fucked up Hollywood has been for decades. So do you know Bryan Singer, the director?
The name sounds familiar, but I
So
couldn't put a
he
face on
sort of got canceled by like Hollywood and shit like that. and rightfully so for like sexual misconduct allegations.
Okay.
But in the 90s,
X-Men. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, so in the 90s, he did a movie. I can't remember the name of it right now, but him and some of the producers actually got sued. So there was a scene, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like a period piece. It had to do with the Holocaust. But there's a like 13, 14-year-old boy who's like showering and he has like a mental breakdown and ends up hallucinating some shit. So they actually recruited like athletes from one of the high schools that they were filming in. I kid you not, they literally, there we go, apartment pupil. Yeah. So it was like these high school dudes who were like playing football and basketball. A scout just went to one of their practices and was like, damn, y'all got some pretty strong bodies. Y'all want to be in a movie?
Oh yeah, that's gross.
So basically, yeah, so the kids didn't know what it was about at first. They were just asked to bring like bathrobes and shit like that or whatever. They go to the school with their parents. They're asked to like change into these Speedos and shit like that with the robes on. So they go and they wait in the gym. The producers or whoever brings them to the shower, and it's like a film crew full of people in there. And they tell them to take it off, pretend like you're showering, and then midway into the scene, oh, looks like it's not believable enough. Go ahead, take that shit off.
Wow.
Take it off, boys.
There's a lot of those. The chick who was in Romeo and Juliet, she was like
Claire
16
Danes,
when that movie was filmed.
And it's creepy to think in the sense that this happened in 1996, that incident, but he was able to work, I think, until 2014, 2015, until the Me Too movement came.
Crazy. Made some good X-Men movies.
No, seriously. Yo, and that's the thing.
Those pedophiles make some good movies.
Good movies and shit like that. I mean,
I don't support them, but I'm just saying.
I mean, look at the art and shit. I mean,
Separate the art from the artist.
They come through in more ways than one, I guess. But yeah, that was a huge wake up call for me, because it does show like for so many years there have been so many.
Have you always had an interest in film?
Yeah, so
it sounds like you
I
are
love
interested
film
in
and
TV and film.
Yeah, man, and
I
that's
think the best way now to get into it is to just start making stuff independently.
Yeah.
Because
and it sucks because it used to be, people don't realize this, but it actually used to be easier to break in the past than it was.
Yeah. Well, everything is
now.
nepotism now. Like,
Yeah.
somebody's kid, somebody's son is the director, somebody's daughter is the star.
It sucks.
I just found out the guy from The Boys is
Dennis Quaid's son.
Dennis Quaid's son.
Yeah, and Meg Ryan's son as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Meg Ryan.
And now you know that when you look at him, you're like, oh, dude, that is Dennis
See
Quaid
that
right there.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
Timothy Chalamet, I think he was a little nepotist.
yeah,
But he went to acting school. He went to
Billie Eilish's mom. Lena Dunham is, and I'm sorry for any Lena. I'm not a fan of Lena Dunham. She's a huge privileged nepo baby. It's like, it's cool to me if you have the talent. Like Maya Hawke is extremely talented.
Sabrina Carpenter is like the biggest
Nancy
singer
Cartwright.
right now, and that's
right.
the lady who voices Bart Simpson.
Yeah,
That's
Nancy
her
Cartwright. But
daughter.
I will say, with Sabrina, to her credit, I followed her from Girl Meets World. Like, we're the same age or whatever. So she, even before she became like a mega singer, I was so impressed with her as an actress, because she had a lot. They gave her
I'm sure it was
like
her
a single
acting
mom.
you were impressed by.
Yeah,
and not her
sure.
other
It's
features.
crazy because I'm like, I get creeped out now looking at her section, because I'm like, God, she looks so young, and then I forget that we're the same age.
Yeah.
So we're both 25, but every time I look at her now, I go back to like seeing her on Girl Meets World in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Full grown adult.
Exactly. Who just happens to be the height of.
Who's your celebrity crush? Biggest celebrity crush?
Oh man,
currently.
it's sad because it's like I have them in my head, but part of me will not let me like fantasize about it, because even my dreams, I know they way too good for me. But I say Lotto, Pamela Anderson, at least the 90s version of Pamela Anderson, is extremely attractive.
That's a big one.
She's very beautiful.
I had the biggest crush on Miley Cyrus when I was a
had
kid.
Miley Cyrus. Yo,
We're the exact same age, and she was cute, kind of homely
right.
on Hannah Montana.
Vanessa Hudgens.
She was very,
I'm glad you
like,
brought up
Disney.
Vanessa Hudgens.
But
then
Vanessa
and now.
Hudgens was so
She's thick now, too.
traditionally beautiful that I was like way out of my
Right.
league. Whereas Miley was
I feel
kind
that.
of like not the most beautiful girl you ever seen,
Right.
but still
But
cute.
she had like a country feel.
And now
to
I'm
it
just
and
like,
everything.
why did you do this?
Do this shit to me.
Why did you do this to yourself?
How could you? We were rooting for you.
I watched her on Joe Rogan's podcast, and she said,
I still need to check that shit out.
it's pretty funny. She said, I think I'm the only girl in LA with a mullet. And I was like, come to Atlanta. You'll fit in.
But you know what's crazy too?
Every third girl has a mullet here.
I'm also in love with like the sitcom moms and everything. So like Patricia Richardson from Home Improvement. It's like my MILF crush.
Today, I really like Florence Pugh, the British actor.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I see it, but at the same time, I don't see it. If that
It's just
makes
I have a
sense.
type.
It's a niche for sure.
Yeah. I like thick girls.
Yeah.
She has very like round features,
Very
kind of
thing.
like stumpy. That's my.
I definitely. Oh, and you're gonna hate me for this, but Margot Robbie.
Oh yeah, I like Margot
well.
Robbie, but
Margot
not
Robbie's
my
very
type.
beautiful.
She's very beautiful. I understand
Yeah.
why people love her.
Love her
I
and shit
understand
like
why
that.
people consider her beautiful. Just not my type. A little
You
skinny.
know the one who I don't under two. So this one's old school. Julia Roberts. Don't fucking get it.
Not my type. Either.
It fucks me up. It fucks me up because Night is like the most beautiful woman alive. Like where y'all not exposed to fucking Adina Howard or fucking Yasmin Belief or Tisha Campbell. Do you know what I mean?
Jada
Robin
Pinkett,
Gibb-
even.
Right. I mean, there's so many. I'm gonna get so, but there's so many like beautiful Hispanic and black women who I feel were underrated. But Julia Roberts with the motherfucking swan neck and shit. This is beauty. And Sydney Sweeney. I understand like she has a nice body, but her face is just
She's kind of. I get it. She's hot, but it's kind of in that like trailer trash.
Yo, exactly, and I feel that's one of the reasons why I do have a little bit of attraction because we look at her as like a country type of girl who you see at Hooters on a weekday right before bar close, like she's bad. But as far as like, oh my gosh, the most beautiful women in the world, this Angel.
That's the perfect way to describe.
Give me all my money. Yeah.
But hey, man, like she gets a lot of shit about her looks. So
I feel
keep doing your thing, Sydney.
saying it. Go
Sell
ahead,
your
girl.
Broncos and.
I think, yo, bro, like she could sell her bra right now for more than I'll ever make in a year, to be honest with you. I mean, I think she's extremely talented. I just feel like with black women, Hispanic women, ethnic women in general, they've got so much shit on like their noses, their facial structure, their bodies and shit like that. But when you have white women, and no disrespect to Sydney or whatever, but who are more conventional in their looks, I'll say that to be nice, then there's just so much fanfare and everybody's dropping to the knees and shit like that, and it's like, what the hell, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we did it, man. We're there. It went by fast, but
It's what?
yeah, we only do an hour.
That's
and,
great. It
we
only
already-
felt
yeah.
like 20 minutes.
You got any projects coming up that you want to plug? Shows, podcasts, whatever.
Yeah. Well, when will this air?
Probably 2 weeks.
Okay, cool. So no, I mean, just keep looking at me on the open mics and everything, and shout out to I've gotten really lucky as far as bookings and opportunities. So I really just want to shout out all the comics in the scene who have been so supportive of me and continue to have faith in my dark, traumatizing humor. It's a rare niche, and I really appreciate everybody just give me the chance to do what I love. Yeah.
And I just want to say before we go, man, like I've been watching you since you kind of popped up.
I'm so sorry.
No, I think I think you're doing really well. I think you
Thank
got
you.
really good energy. You know, you're a nice guy.
Thank you so much.
When you hit the stage, you always try your hardest.
Thank you.
You never half-ass it, and as long as you keep that energy, the writing will get better. The stage presence will get better.
Yeah.
Everything else will fall into place. Just don't lose that spirit and that energy that you got.
Thank
and
you
you'll
so
be just
much.
Fine.
I really appreciate that, and I've been watching you ever since. I can't. You've been doing it longer than me, of course, but I've been watching you and a couple of other comics on the scene, and I just want to share this because I said it to you on our way here. The fact that you've accomplished so much in the scene and you've toured, you've been booked for so many things, but you still are so humble and so kind with your time and supportive of everybody else. I honestly feel that's what the Atlanta comedy scene needs more of, because it's so easy to fall into the high school mentality of like cliques or thinking, I'm here in my career, I have the right to treat people like this or segregate myself from newcomers or folks who have only been doing this 2 or 3 years or whatever. You're such a great example of somebody who's extremely successful at their craft, cares about their craft, and still comes in and keeps it about the work and just being the best that you can be and making sure that you're able to provide a positive experience for everybody around you instead of just making it a dick measuring contest as to who's gotten booked the most this month and who has this or who has that. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
I see that a lot in
yeah.
the scene, unfortunately, and I feel like once we realize that we're all in this together, I hate that I brought up the Disney riff, but we're all united. We all have a similar dream. If we could all work together and support each other, there's room for all of us to be successful, because you never know where anybody's going to be in 5 years. You never know what anybody can accomplish with their talents. You should treat people with respect, number one, because they're human beings, but also too, you never know when you're gonna need them or how they can help you.
I totally agree, man. No matter where you start, anybody can make it. So yeah, thanks for coming through, man. Kenny Murray, check him out. Peace, y'all.